On today's episode of the podcast, I want to share with you where I'm at so far on the design I'm working on for a classic staple hand knit plain black tee. I also have some thoughts that I want to share with you about my husband's Frankensweater. I'd love to ask your opinion about some advice I received in the comments of the last video. In addition to all of that, I have some new yarn that I want to share with you and subsequent project forecasting for that yarn that I think you'll find exciting, especially moving into the warmer months of late spring and summer. And at the very end of the episode, I thought I would share with you what I love to do that has nothing to do with knitting that helps me decompress in those moments when things get a little hectic and I just need to give my nervous system a chance to chill. So get comfortable and let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Tayler, and I will be your host. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, though I do get up to other fiber-related topics from time to time. I'm coming to you from Henderson, Nevada, which is a small town outside of Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Southwest United States. This is where I'm from and where I live with my family, which is my husband Brandon, my boys Angus and Ronan, my dog Pepper, and my cat Oscar. I am recording this on Saturday, the day before Easter, but if you're watching it right when it goes live and you are celebrating Easter, happy Easter. I am doing the same with my family as well. We have hockey practice on Sunday morning or on Easter morning, so we have to do that. And then when we get back, we're having brunch with our family to celebrate the holiday with the whole family. So if you are celebrating, again, happy Easter. If you are not celebrating, just happy Sunday. And thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. I don't want to say I have lots to share with you. I have some good stuff that I want to share with you guys today. And I also want to mention how much I appreciate all of your support over in the community tab. So if you are a regular viewer of the Wool Needles Hands channel, you know that my typical days for uploading are Wednesdays and Sundays. Well, this last Wednesday, I decided not to upload. And I made that decision on Tuesday and I posted it in the community tab to let everybody know that I'm stepping back. I will not be uploading on Wednesday because I was just getting that old familiar feeling of, I say burnout. It wasn't quite burnout, but it's what you start to feel when your body's just telling you, pump the brakes, take a break. And it's not even necessarily your body. It's just your mind, your nervous system. You just start feeling a little bit overwrought. I actually recorded about a fourth of the midweek ramble before getting into it and realizing I just need to can it because I'm not mentally ready. I was just exhausted and I needed some time to take a little break from that format of video, of content essentially, because the midweek ramble is pretty rich in content. They take a lot more, research and thought and just effort in general. And so I stepped back, I let y'all know that I wasn't going to upload for Wednesday, and you guys were just so wonderful. Your support lifted me up and filled me up and warmed me up, and I just absolutely appreciate you guys so much. I enjoyed taking a break and relaxing a little bit, doing some things I needed to do outside of the podcast and outside of the channel with my boys and just getting everything ready for the Easter holiday. And so I just want to thank you. So I'm feeling very refreshed, I'm feeling great, and I'm really happy to be here with you guys today to give you an update on some of the things that I've been working on since we last spoke. Now, before we get started, I do have one little point of administration that I want to take care of. Now, many of you may already know, but I am the owner and dyer of Fiber for the People yarn, which is my hand-dyed yarn business. You can learn all about that by heading over to Instagram at fiber.for.the.people, or you can head over to fiberforthepeople.com. I wanted to let you know that the next shop update is Saturday, April 29th at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's going to be a really pretty spring update. I'm featuring two of my spring colorways. The first is Liminal and the second is Verdigris. These are some of my favorite spring colorways. I love the rich variegation in Verdigris. I love that purple and that teal together. It's reminiscent of copper oxidation. And the Liminal colorway, it just has those really bright bursts of color on the ecru background with some really sharp speckling. Just really beautiful springtime colors to warm up the spirit, warm up your color palette, and just something really fun to work with. I haven't quite decided which yarn bases I'm going to be bringing to the shop for that update, but those are the colorways you can count on seeing for the Saturday, April 29th shop update. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. Now, I want to start today with Brandon's Frankensweater. This is a sweater that I am knitting for my husband as part of the Wool Needles Hands Break the Curse knit along. This is a knit along I'm hosting. It's a very casual knit along. I haven't mentioned it a lot on the podcast. It's something that folks are working on, you know, just generally or over on Instagram, and they're sharing their work using the hashtag WNH Break the Curse KAL. Now, break the curse is just a really loose reference to a phenomenon that happens if you begin to knit a sweater or a garment for a special someone in your life, and then they leave you before you have the chance to finish it. I know it's kind of, you know, dark and depressing, and that's not... That was not the intention. But because it is a knit along where we are knitting sweaters for a special man in our life, I thought we would poke fun at the whole idea of this curse and just give it the Break the Curse knit along hashtag. So don't take it too seriously in terms of the hashtag name, but we are knitting sweaters for a special man in our life. Now, this sweater that I am knitting doesn't have a pattern. I'm kind of pulling bits and pieces of patterns that I've seen and putting together what I like to refer to as a Frankensweater. Now, I knit an entire Frankensweater and have shared it on the podcast previously, so if you'd like to go back and dive into my previous Frankensweater saga, I absolutely encourage you to do that. I'm doing that same thing for a sweater for my husband. Now, I want to share with you guys, I have not made any progress necessarily on this piece because I haven't been working on it very much, but what I have done is something that was suggested to me in the comments of the last podcast episode. Now, if you remember, I had Brandon come on the episode and we put what I have so far of the sweater on him, and he tried it on to see how it fit around his neck. Try this on you. Of course, you're going to be like super high up in that chair. The biggest thing is like where it sits on your neck. What does that feel? Be honest.
I mean, it feels snug, but not like bad. Like it just feels like a turtleneck.
So if it opens up a little bit in blocking and all of that, you think it'll be?
Yeah.
Because I think that's because it's not super snug.
Right.
It's gonna look so handsome. Now, in my opinion, and considering what I know about how this sweater will open up and bloom when it's completely finished and blocked, I'm feeling pretty good about the way this fit Brandon around his neck. However, I would be lying if I didn't say that there weren't some slight concerns because it was fitting up a little higher on his neck, kind of like a turtleneck would fit. Oh. And that wasn't really what I was going for, but I'm feeling like that's just because it hasn't been blocked completely. So these were things that were on my mind. Well, I was reading over your comments like I always do, and a couple people suggested that I block it. One person even said, stop the presses and block the sweater. And I thought about it. I have never blocked anything in the middle of the knitting process. That has it's never really occurred to me to do that before. And then recently I've heard of people doing this to kind of determine how something's going to fit before they move too much into the project. Maybe this is a great opportunity because it does, I guess, give me an idea of how the neck is going to fit after blocking. So I decided to just go for it. And now all I have of his sweater, it's really not much to write home about. But this is it. So, and this is really pretty much all I had when you guys saw this on the podcast. Now, I'm just going to let you know that everything I show you today in terms of knitted pieces are dark. Okay, this is a dark color. The next thing I'm going to share with you is black. I am completely aware that it is very difficult to see these things. It has nothing to do with the lighting because everything here is very well lit. It's more the dynamic range of my camera and the settings that I have and the way that I've graded the video for it to look appealing on screen. And I'm not going to change that just so we can make out all the details of this sweater here. So I will be inserting photographs so you can kind of get a bit of a better idea. But generally speaking, you can see about how much of a yoke I have here. And this is how much I had last time too. So this in and of itself right here doesn't weigh a whole lot. And that's important to consider when we start thinking about the idea of pre-blocking or, blocking before you have the whole garment because you want to see how something's going to fit. So when I was knitting my Frankensweater for myself that I talk about for several episodes, a few episodes back, I noticed that the neckline of that sweater opened up not only after blocking, but when I had the entire sweater's worth of yarn draping over my body. That weight pulls a little bit on the neckline of the sweater, opening it up. It pulls on all the stitches, opening it up around your body. And so when I'm thinking of this opening up on his neck, I'm not only considering the blocking by itself, I'm also considering the weight that the sweater is going to have and how that kind of causes the tension and opens the stitches up. Okay, so all that being said, I did block this. I snipped off the yarn so that I didn't have a whole cake of yarn when I stuck it in my spin dryer. And I soaked it. Now I'm using ChiaoGoo knitting needles. These are stainless steel knitting needles, and you can absolutely block with these on. If you're concerned and you're using interchangeables, you can just take off the needle tips. I wasn't concerned at all because I just know that they're not going to rust because you're not going to leave them in the water that long. So just in case you would like to try this and you're using ChiaoGoos, just go for it. It's fine. You're not going to have any rusting issues. As far as I know, based on the materials of the needle, because every part of them, except for the cord, of course, is stainless steel. So rusting shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so anyway, I soaked it. I pulled it out and I soaked it just the way I would if I were to block my sweater for the final blocking. I pulled it out, I laid it out and shaped it the way that I would shape it. And this is it. So this is kind of like what I have blocked so far. Now, I did do before and after photos. So I'm just going to show it to you here. Now, let me go ahead and insert the before photo. And I actually have this on my phone and I want to look at it while I'm talking to you. So I can point a couple of things out. Oh, that pollen in the air. It's just making everything scratchy. Okay, so I'm looking at the photo here. Now you can see the way that this sits on his neck. It sits like a short turtleneck, pretty much. It's just right up here on his neck. And I wouldn't say that it doesn't look to me to be too tight. It just definitely looks like a turtleneck. Okay, when I blocked this and I shaped it, I noticed it opening up. I noticed the stitches opening up. So I was feeling pretty confident that it was going to bloom and open up in blocking. So I let it completely dry and I tried it on him again. You can see that it's still sitting somewhat high on the neck, but also notice all of that yoke that's curling up around his shoulders, that's not pulling on that neck. There's no weight there, really. It's not coming down over the shoulders. You don't have the extra weight from all of the yarn that's going to go into that sweater that's going to help to pull the collar down a little bit, because that's really important to take that into consideration, because that weight is going to help shape the sweater around the body. And he doesn't really have that here. He doesn't have anything like pulling down around his shoulders. Now I'm going to show you a side by side so that you can see kind of the comparison of the two together on the same screen. So here we are. This is a quick side by side. Now, if you look at the first, you can see it's really sitting up like a turtleneck. It's almost just straight up and down. And then if you look at the second, you can see it's kind of coming down a little bit. It's pulling down from the chin. It's not quite so high and tight on the neck. And it's much more kind of like it's like a high and tight crew neck as opposed to a high and tight half turtleneck. Now, these are very simple and slight variations between the blocked version, which is on the left, the blocked version, which is on the right, and the unblocked version, which is on the left. But there is enough of a difference here that tells me that when I do have the full weight of the sweater, it's going to pull it down to where I want it. And then of course I'll block it again, and I might even block it and kind of more aggressively shape that neckline. But this isn't giving me like the pause that I was experiencing when I saw it on his neck in the last episode of the podcast. I'm feeling more confident in kind of my initial instincts about this to begin with. So I'm confident. I'm thinking that it's going to work. He says that after it blocked, it not only softened the yarn and felt really nice on his skin, he definitely felt like it opened up and he said it didn't feel like a turtleneck anymore. It just kind of felt like a high crew neck. Some of my thoughts I had about blocking this before I was finished was whether or not the fabric was going to, is it going to make this part of the sweater look different when I start adding all of this unblocked material to the rest of the sweater? I don't know, just some concerns. Let me know down in the comment section if you've ever done that. Have you ever pre-blocked a section of the sweater to get a better idea of how it's going to fit? And if you did you notice any difference after blocking the sweater and like finally for the final blocking? Did you notice a difference that one part had been blocked before? Or did it all just kind of blend together? I'm kind of curious to know about that. But that is where we stand on my husband's Frankensweater. I appreciate the advice, the tip to do that. I definitely think it gave me a little bit more of an idea of where I'm at with this. I'd love to know your opinion. So you can chime in, let me know what you think about where we are so far. Again, I know I've not made much progress. I've kind of been distracted by another project over here, but I'm happy to know that I think we're moving in the right direction. And I always love that advice that teaches me something new and causes me to go out of my comfort zone and try something different. If you want to know more about that sweater, go back to the last episode of the podcast and the one before that. You can learn about the yarn and all of the different initial decisions that I made when I started that sweater. So that's a really great place to learn a little bit more about that particular project. This next one I'm excited to share with you. This is going to be a plain black capsule t-shirt, just kind of like a classic hand knit t-shirt design. I'm designing this on my own. I'm using various different pieces of information, from measuring out a t-shirt that I have in my actual wardrobe, measuring out a previous t-shirt style sweater that I knit in the past, just reading various different things, and I'm coming up with this design from scratch, and I'm really excited about the progress that I've made. So let's go ahead and pull this sucker out. Now again, this is black. It's going to be really difficult for me to share it with you in person. So I do have some decent photos that I want to share with you. And I might also try it on. I'm wearing a white t-shirt today. My dad recommended that I pop on a white t-shirt when showing it because that contrast might make it a little bit easier to see. So we'll see what we can do. But this is what I am calling my capsule tee. Now, a lot of you guys suggested really good names for this, and I loved the idea of capsule tee because that's exactly what it is. Now, that is a working title, and it might change. Who's to say? But I like it just like that with what we have so far. Okay, now what I'm going to do before I show this and hold this up is I'm just going to pop it on so you can kind of see the depth of the yoke so far, because that's really pretty much all you're going to be able to see on camera. The details aren't going to show up on camera very well. Let's take this off. Let's just take it off. Okay, so this is where I'm at so far with the yoke. I don't know. I'm gonna move my microphone, so bear with me for a second. Okay, so here we are. This is what I have so far. Now, again, I know you're not gonna be able to see details, but at least you can kind of see where I am with the depth of the sweater. You might be able to see some details in here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to pop pictures up in just a moment so that you can see a little bit better. But this is where we are at this point. It is raglan construction. It's a crew neck collar, and I have a little string of pearl bumps going around the base of the crew neck. You can maybe make that out. Yeah, you might be able to see those kind of like right in this area here. It's really pretty. So it's really just your classic plain black raglan tee. It has some nice details around the collar, and the raglan seams are kind of interesting in the way that they're constructed. I'm going to go ahead and pop up a picture here so you can see what I had yesterday on my mannequin and get a little bit of an idea of what those details look like before I give you information on my thoughts and where I'm going with this next. First of all, everything sticks to that sweater or that shirt because the cotton merino blend that I'm using, it's a beautiful yarn. It's a cotton merino and it's absolutely supple and gorgeous, but it attracts little fuzz and little hairs and little who knows what. So you're going to see little odds and ends in there. It's definitely going to be one of those garments that I need a lint roller for, but it's beautiful, so it doesn't bother me. That is ultimately what I think a classic t-shirt ought to look like in hand knit form. That crisp contrast between collar and shirt is important. Having a pretty distinct raglan seam gives it a little bit of a retro vibe, and I'm all about it. I love the shape from front to back. So we're looking at it right here from this side, and you can see that the raglan seams go down either side of the shoulder. The front sits only slightly lower than the back, and it just fits right around the base of the neck nicely. Now, as I was working the yoke, I realized I needed to start making some decisions pretty quickly about the depth of the yoke, my armhole depth, and how wide I wanted my armholes to be, and all of these various different things, giving me that classic t-shirt fit, in my opinion. So I decided, instead of like going really into detail on my own body measurements, I wanted to go for a garment in my wardrobe that fits me the way I wanted this to fit me, and measure out that garment and use those measurements to dictate my design for this particular t-shirt. And so I did exactly that. I have this t-shirt. It is a t-shirt from Madewell, which is a company here in the United States. I don't know if it's international. I don't even know if it matters, but it's a absolutely beautiful t-shirt. This is 100% Supima cotton, and it has really nice structure. And again, it's dark. I'm sorry, it's just dark. I don't know what to say. It really just fits so nicely. It fits around my neck nicely. The length of the sleeves are only slightly shorter than what I want the length of these sleeves to be. I don't know, it's just a really nice fitting shirt. And this isn't going to do it for you because I'm not wearing it. But putting this shirt on and realizing this is how I wanted my hand knit shirt to fit, and then using this as my frame of reference, as a place to get measurements, has been really, really helpful. Also too, it's been kind of nice because I've been able to set my sweater over the top of this and compare the way the collar is going to fit, or at least the way that the shape of the collar is looking compared to this collar. And of course, this isn't a raglan shirt, but just the overall shape. It's not too boxy, but it's also not too narrow. It's just a really nice fitting t-shirt. You know, when you've found a really fantastic fitting t-shirt, usually you want like a million of those particular shirts. And so if you have the choice, or at least the opportunity to create your own t-shirt, whether you're sewing or knitting, using that as kind of like, like a template for duping your own is really exciting and kind of liberating, I guess, because you realize that you're in control of the shape and the fit, and you could potentially end with your ideal fitting garment. So that's really exciting. Another item that I was using to take measurements from was this one. So this is one I've worn on the podcast recently. Well, I don't know, a few months ago. This is a Felix pullover, which is a design by Amy Christophers. However, obviously, if you're familiar with the Felix pullover, this has been heavily modified. You guys, you're gonna have to pardon me. I have to stop a lot because my allergies have been kicking into high gear, and we have just pollen everywhere outside because it's been pretty windy, and it's like getting to my throat, so I feel like my throat gets scratchy. So sorry. So I decided to knit this one cropped. It's pretty cropped. I wouldn't wear this by itself with pants, or else you would absolutely see my midsection. I'll wear it over dresses, or I'll wear it over like a longer top or something like that. But what I love about this is the yoke depth. I love the depth from the middle back center all the way down to where the armholes are separated, or the sleeves are separated for the body. And so it was this distance right here that I was going for in my capsule tee design. And so I was using this, kind of duping some of the measurements from this to help determine how I wanted to, how deep I wanted the yoke on that particular shirt to go. And also too, pulling this out, it gave me kind of an idea of how wide I wanted my sleeves to be. I really love the way these cap sleeves fit. These have no additional sleeve length. So when I separated for sleeves, I didn't add any length to these sleeves. So these are just the sleeve caps. And the opening on these is a perfect fit. And I used that to figure out the opening on the sleeves for my capsule tee, and it worked out beautifully. So these two pieces are a couple of the things that I'm using to kind of help inform my design moving forward. And today, actually, I'm going to sit down and work on this when we go to hockey practice tomorrow, and then when we go to skating tonight, and I'm hoping to get separated for sleeves and to get some body length, because I'm thinking that after I get some of that body knit, I'm going to stop and go and work on the sleeves. The sleeves are what I'm really excited about. So I may end up just knitting the sleeves and finishing all of that and then finishing the rest of the body. So fingers crossed. There might be 2 sleeves on that top next time we meet. I also want to mention here too, something else I'm using to help drive my design for this is an entire blog series by Karen Templer of Fringe Association. So I mentioned this with you guys when I was talking about my Frankensweater that I worked on a couple months ago. I'm rereading that whole blog series for this design as well, because it is absolutely just eye-opening to the process of improvising a top-down raglan pullover, sweater, whatever it is. And she even goes further than that. There's lots of different options that she provides you with information on how to improvise. I just highly recommend it. So if you're feeling kind of the motivation to improvise your own garments for whatever reason, because you want to have a perfect size that you don't see represented, or you want a certain style, or whatever your reasons are, figuring out how to improvise your own top-down sweater is so liberating and empowering, and I highly recommend that you do it. You will be surprised at what you're capable of doing, and I feel like her blog series is a fantastic jumping off point if you don't want to buy any books, because I mean, there's lots of books that you can be purchasing if you want. Like Elizabeth Zimmerman has some fantastic ones for kind of coming up with your own like recipe for a top-down sweater. There's just a lot of really great books out there. But if you're not ready to commit to a library of books for this purpose, I feel like you can learn and glean so much from Karen Templer's blog series. So I will absolutely link that in the show notes for you. And I highly recommend it. Even if you don't have an intention to start anything like this right now, just go read through this blog post and get a little bit of an idea of the steps involved. Because I think if you're not motivated now, you're definitely going to be motivated after reading through the blog post, because it's just so good. Okay, I want to share with you some new yarn. Now, the yarn I'm using for my capsule tee is by a company out of Canada called About String. This is the yarn I'm using for that project. This is what it looks like when you order it. It is 55% extra fine merino and 45% cotton. And it's gorgeous. Each one of these little balls is 109 yards, 50 grams. And I absolutely love this yarn. The moment I started knitting with this yarn, I fell in love. It's just so nice to work with. It slips over the needles beautifully. It feels good in your hands. It's a fantastic yarn. So when I knew I had fallen head over heels in love with that, I wanted to purchase some more of it. And so this is a different weight. This is fingering weight, the same brand. Now the breakdown here, or the fiber content, is a little bit heavier in the merino department. So this is 65% merino wool and 35% cotton. So you're definitely getting a little bit more merino here. This is also 191 yards and it is 50 grams as well. And this color is called Rust. And I love this color. And you guys, this yarn just feels fantastic. I purchased both of these on Amazon. That is where they sell this yarn primarily. If you're interested in giving it a try, or if you'd like to try a nice cotton merino blend, I will link to this yarn in the description box and in the show notes and all of that, because I really recommend the yarn. It's beautiful. So I ordered this. I love this color. It's that like brown, mustardy camel color that I'm really into right now. And I bought a bunch of it. Like, let's just do the whole yarn ball thing, because if this isn't like the most satisfying, oh my goodness, look at them, look at all the yarn balls, so cute, loving it. Okay, so I got all of those. I got really excited about knitting pieces with like a cotton merino blend moving into spring and summer. I'm feeling like how a lot of times when you have like your wardrobe, you might find that your wintertime pieces get stored away when you move into the warmer weather and you start wanting to wear things that are cooler. It's kind of like what's happening for me right now with my projects, my knitting projects that are definitely heavier and with, heavier yarns and wools and all of that. I'm finding that I kind of want to push those to the side and work on some, pieces that are more lightweight using cotton blends and all of this. So my motivation for the types of projects I'm working on are kind of shifting, like my interest in clothing is shifting a little bit. So bear with me if you notice that happening with projects on the podcast, but I have a feeling that you guys are probably going through the same thing. So that brings me to my plans for this yarn. I have 2 projects, or well, they're not projects yet because they're right now just project forecasting, but I have 2 patterns in mind for this yarn. The first is called Flores by Eri Shimizu, and it is so pretty and delicate. So again, it's called Flores. It's a top-down raglan with some nice texture. It has some really nice sleeve options. Just the overall delicate nature of this piece is really nice. And I thought in this really pretty rust color, I mean, come on, how good is that? Ugh, so good. So that's my first option for what I'm going to do with that yarn. It requires anywhere from 920 to 1,705 yards. Right here, I have 8. So this is a little over 1,500 yards of yarn here. So I have plenty. My other option would be to knit the Friday Tee by Petite Knit. So this is a design for kind of like your basic staple t-shirt, but it has a really nice waffle texture. Now this sample that she's showing here is striped, and although I love the stripes, I don't want stripes for this particular design. I don't know. I don't think, but I do know that if I did want to go for something exactly like what she has here, they have this yarn in that oatmeal colorway that she kind of has as her background color, which could be really pretty. But I was kind of thinking about doing this in one solid color like this and just letting that texture shine through. I don't know. You can let me know your opinion. So those are my 2 options, the Flores or the Friday Tee. I love them both. I may end up just knitting both at some point. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Sound off in the comments if you have any opinions about that. I absolutely love this yarn. Highly recommend it. Just once you get your hands on it, you won't regret it. It's really, really beautiful yarn. So all of that is linked down below in the description box. Okay, before I wrap up, I wanted to share something with you that is kind of out of left field. It's not related to knitting necessarily, but it's just something I thought I would share. As a small business owner, a sole proprietor of a small hand-dyed yarn business, the sole operator of a YouTube channel here, and then the mother of 2 little boys, and just somebody who wants to be involved with all of that in equal measure, but know that I can't at certain times, and sometimes I have to give more attention to some things over others, and I also prioritize my family over anything. Things can get stressful, and I know so many of you are probably thinking like, amen, sister, I completely relate. It's just sometimes it's too much. And I don't say too much to indicate that it's too much, I've had enough. Like it's not like that. It's just that you get to a point sometimes where you feel your mind and your body just saying, hold on, stop, and take a minute. Take a minute to not only breathe, but take a minute to go outside and take a walk just for the sake of taking a walk. Go stop and smell the roses, especially now because I've planted all new flowers in my backyard and I'm so excited about the flowers. Just like go take advantage of all of that. Just be a part of it. Go love on the children. Go play with the kids. Just do other stuff, right? And then also with that is find times to decompress. Whatever it is that does that for you, like this, meaning you don't have to really get too far into something. It just kind of starts working immediately. I mean, for some people, it's taking a nap. For some people, it's painting. For some people, it's meditation. For me, it's a lot of different things, but I wanted to share with you one thing here that is an absolute surefire, like kind of magic button that instantly soothes like an overactive nervous system from just being kind of go, go, go all the time. And I love doing it, and it's great color therapy, and it's something so simple, and it's color by numbers. So this is a color by numbers book that I have. I have a few of these, and I absolutely love them. Fantastic color by numbers for adults or even kids that really like to have like that color guidance. Now, coloring in general is fantastic for this purpose. But color by numbers is a whole different thing. And the reason why is because you're being told what colors to put where. And having that direction given to you, taking that decision-making process just off of the table and just allowing colors to just soothe your soul is really a very beautiful thing. I think it's kind of that whole relinquishing control to something else, because a lot of times I find that I become, tense and like stressed because I'm trying to control everything around me, and it's impossible. And sometimes you have to find something that intentionally doesn't allow you to be in control. It intentionally takes away some of that control in a positive way and gives you something pleasing as an outcome, or as a result. I don't know, it's hard to explain. But it says on this book here, stress-free coloring, and that is exactly what it is. You just choose the one that you want to do, find the colors to match, and you go for it. So I have a whole bunch of pens, and I don't actually know. So behind me here, it's focusing on my face, but I have let's see, here, right here, and then here. I have jars of pens and coloring pens all over the place. And I love to color, and I have them all color coded. Actually, there's another one down, I don't know, here. But anyway, they're everywhere. And so it's fun to kind of go through those, and I look through them and I find the best ones to match the color that we have here in the palette. And then I color the picture, and I don't even have to worry about picking the colors. I just have fun with the process of coloring. I have fun watching the colors come together, discovering new color palettes, which is a lot of fun for me, especially as a dyer. I mean, look how fun is that, you guys? I just, it gives you the palette down here. You do your best to find, you can see I was having a really hard time figuring out colors for that one. But it's a fantastic way to decompress and to just let go. And I think that that's the best, that's the advice we wish we could give ourselves when we're feeling a little stressed. It's just let go, right? Just let it go. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. But with something like this, it gives you something to work on, something to complete, but you can let go of the control aspect of it. How cute is that? Look at those cats. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I love art. I love color. I just love all of that. But this is just a great option if you just need to chill out and relax and put on some headphones with some nice music and just zone out and let go. So that is my suggestion for you if you feel like you need something outside of your primary craft, because knitting absolutely provides me with some of that, but there's thought involved, especially on a design I'm working on or a project I'm knitting for somebody else or all of these things. There's definitely a little bit of that control that you have to maintain so that things come out right. With my current projects, of course, my granny stripe blanket that I'm working on, for example, the Sundance throw, that's kind of like this, right? Because the colors are already there. I'm not thinking about that. I'm just crocheting. So that actually is very similar to this. But if you kind of need to put your knitting or crochet down for a minute and just give your hands a rest, but you still want that color therapy, you still want that creative, just artistic, whatever you want to call this, I highly recommend it. So these ones are fantastic. I will link to this one and a few others in the description box. If you'd like to give it a try, get yourself some fun little pens or colored pencils or whatever in color to just let it go. All right, guys, that is it for me today. It has been a pleasure being here with you guys today. If you're watching this on Easter Sunday, thank you for making me a part of your special day. It's just always lovely. It's always lovely to be here. You guys are fantastic. The community we have here at the Wool Needles Hands channel is just so good, and you guys make that happen. So thank you so much. If you enjoyed yourself or took value from anything today, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click the bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday. And if you would like to give some additional support to the channel, don't forget to check out the Wool Needles Hands merch shop. We have lots of fun conversation starters over at woolneedleshands.com shop merch. Definitely check it out. There's sure to be something that you love, and that really helps support the work that I'm doing here at the channel. So thank you so much. Until the next time we meet, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.